Talk about the blind leading the blind. Metzger and his pal are going to critique the Democrats at reaching men when these guys are just as ignorant as the Democratic Party. Listen, you'll see what I'm saying.
Jimmy Dore Show, everybody. Keaton and Kurt holding it down this week while Jimmy is on the road. So you may have realized the Democrats have a bit of a problem with the fellas, or as Obama would say, with
What?
the brothers. Yes, yes.
The Democrat spending $20 million to learn how to talk to the American man. This is all gaslighting. What they're saying is, how do we convince men that we're on their side while stabbing them in the back? That's what it is.
Yes,
Well,
the
I mean,
problem,
just certain ones, I guess, straight men, not living in a city that
right.
blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera.
No, Metzger, you dunce. They're talking about you. You're the common man.
Not college and all that shit.
Right. With the fellas, as we say. So the Democrats are reportedly spending $20 million to learn how to talk with the American man. That's right. Dana Bash has the reporting.
Notice he talks about it as if the American man isn't these two. Dudes, they're talking about you. You're American males.
Which is also young. So we mentioned new voters, which is also young voters, another way to say that. And now I want to talk about men. And here's something from the New York Times. This is written by our friend of the show, Shane Goldmacher. The prospectus for one new $20 million effort obtained by the Times aims to reverse the erosion of Democratic support among young men, especially online.
Especially online. What do you mean, especially online? Everyone gets online. There is no especially gets online. It's just men, period. Men and women are online, right? You want to reverse the erosion? Kick out all the feminists. There you go.
It is codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a strategic
Yeah,
plan.
are they
promises
aliens?
investments to
Speaking with American men.
What do you mean, are they aliens? No, what you're supposed to say, are we aliens? Metzger, you're an American male. Who do you think they're talking to? You dunce? Who do you think they're talking to? These guys are all the same. They always think that they're talking with some other group of men. No, they mean you. Genius.
Making contact with American men. That's right.
Okay, sorry.
The search for American men. No, I
Did you guys vote Democrat? If you didn't, they're talking about you.
don't blame me.
study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention. And
The syntax.
the virility in these spaces. It recommends buying advertisements in video games,
Yes.
among other
Oh.
things. So you're the man here. I will not mansplain you. All I will say is, duh.
Yeah, we'll get by them. I'm more interested in how Weiss and Metzger speak on this. I don't care about this guy here. This is all just gaslighting from CNN. We'll get by these guys.
Be a check on Trump's power.
By these guys.
Make that effective argument to win back the.
Gee, sorry guys. I got to get past them. Okay, here we go.
Of young men age 18 to 29 who identify with or lean towards the Democratic Party, down from 51% in 2016 to just 39% in 2023.
What?
Notice a big drop off starting in 2016 where
Now, will you guys come to the simple conclusion? The Democratic Party is controlled by feminists, which is a man-hating group, and that's why they push the men to the right. They push them toward the Republican Party in a desperate hopes that the Republican Party will give them some respect. We'll see if these guys say that.
you insisted that all of the Bernie Sanders supporters were wannabe wife beaters who, hated the idea of a woman becoming president. Yeah.
Have they
That's when
tried
seemed to
not
start.
saying all men are rapists? That's just one idea off the top of my head. Have you tried not
That too. That was 2017, right? So you had
Yeah.
the 3-point drop off the Bernie Bros. Then you had the Me Too drop from 48 to 45. That's
Oh,
right.
here's the secret. Ready for this one? Buckle up for this. You know all that stupid comic book crap that the men like to go say in all the movies that were the CIA used to do a great job with the propaganda back then to get you geared up for war, then this and that.
CIA.
Maybe stop doing gender swaps with all of the propaganda tools.
So you think the CIA is doing the gender swaps? Okay, you guys are clueless and should be keeping your mouths shut.
Because I think you're losing the men with that.
You're
'Cause
giving
you
a lot of
can't
free
make it-
advice.
yeah.
A lot of free advice. They have $20 million to spend. We should like really think about soliciting them. Hey, look, we're in the podcast space. We are connected. I will make the offer right now, open offer to the Democratic Party for $100,000. Just, give me a train ticket down to DC and I am yours for 5 days. You can pick my.
Wow, this is the blind leading the blind. What are you going to tell them, dude? Are you going to be like Metzger here, Weiss, and go on about the CIA?
My brain. You could do whatever you want to me. You could dye my hair. You could give me as many boosters as you want. I don't care. Right here, baby. Put them right here. I'm yours for a week. You do whatever you want. I am your guinea pig for $100,000. You got 20 million. So 100,000 is not that bad. Not that bad. Right?
I'd like to undercut Keaton and offer my services for 50,000. I'd like to start bidding lower and come in like outsource labor and take that job from you.
See,
you would have to offer lower.
Capitalism is a race to the bottom, folks. That's what we always say. 2020 versus 2024, the major youth gender gap. So young men in 2020 went for Joe Biden 56 to 41.
I don't know if we'll bother with this because we already know that young guys are leaving, right? So get past that.
Shift there. So yes, they are in some trouble. Here's Fox News's Guy Benson calling out Democrats' efforts to win back male voters.
$20 million on fire with a bunch of pollsters and consultants to try to figure out how they have completely lost touch with half the country, right? Especially younger men.
But they haven't lost touch with them. They're attacking them. Guys, we're being attacked. It's not just us young, not just you young guys, it's us old guys too. And these two geniuses aren't saying what I'm saying, are they?
A party that has feminized its messaging, its priorities.
Feminized. So is calling all men rapists feminized? What does that term mean? So is this guy saying attacking men is feminized? Then he's actually being truthful then, isn't he? Women are attacking men.
For years, I'm not using that as a derogatory term. They've just made a choice to feminize the...
If it's the wrong way to go about it, then how's it not derogatory? See how these pandering losers do it every time?
Approach of what they do as a political party. It worked well for them for a while. Now they might be realizing, we've gone too far. How do we course correct? And I would suggest that there's a long journey back to relevance for them among young men and men generally.
When he's saying going too far, he means men will put up with a certain amount of abuse and they've gone over. Metzger himself will admit this. He'll even admit himself to you later on in this video that he's all about taking the abuse.
If you consider that their solutions to this are people like Tim Walz and David Hogg, and the party of women, they treat it like this puzzler of a trick question when you ask them to talk about what a woman actually is. They have gone
TradCon, right? What a woman actually is. TradCons are women worshippers. That's what it is. Jeez. When men are being attacked, the last thing I give a shit about is whether women are being defined or not. This is about me, not them.
Deep down the rabbit hole on gender politics, and I'm not sure a $20 million research project is going to pull them back from that abyss.
I mean, don't these people understand, like, when you're a kid and you want girls to like you, the more time you spend racking your brains about what it's going to take to get girls to like you, the less likely you are to actually get the girl, right?
Well, the thing is, the less likely, these guys got the cart before the horse. The less likely you are to get the girl is the more time you spend racking to get the girl. You guys should understand this simple concept. The guys who think about it are the ones who are being rejected from the get-go. Remember, it's not confidence that gets the girl. It's getting the girl that gets the confidence. So this guy sounds like a typical PUA. You sound like Andrew Tate, dude.
I wanted to start a podcast called Low Value Males with Dave Lupe, and it was all about not being a high value male.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically you if you weren't a comedian. That's all low value male means. Low status. You don't have fame or fortune. Right? And Metzger, you may not be low value because you're on the Jimmy Dore show and you're a comedian. So you've got some fame and fortune. Right?
I love that idea.
You know, how come girls like to be with these dirt loser guys? That's me.
Right.
Don't reach for the stars.
You're a dirt loser guy. I agree, you are, but not for the same reasons you think. You got fame and fortune to a certain degree. That is what makes you a winner. That's what makes women select you. It has nothing to do with your personality, Metzger. If it was, you would never get chosen.
Hey, you might have to pay rent a few months, lady. That's how I conducted myself and it worked out fine for me.
Wow, posturing. You might have to pay some rent sometime, lady. He's going to renege on that later on in this video, right? When he admits that men have to just take abuse.
You don't have to be really, I mean, I don't know if you think I'm much to look at, but I didn't. You literally just have to be masculine in a world where nobody's masculine.
Really? So you see yourself as masculine in a world where nobody's masculine? You mean like your friend Weiss? He looks real masculine, doesn't he? No, genius. You became a somebody. Otherwise, women would walk right by you.
Just if that's what you're interested in is the opposite sex, they're going to want something that's not like them.
Right.
And I think, all the cities and showbiz I worked in, I have awards for my feminist comedy writing that I'm deeply ashamed of. I want to make that clear to everybody.
You had feminist comedy writing. Right. So you pandered to the hate mob, to the people who hate your guts.
I would have never helped with
That's very masculine of you.
that if I thought if I had any idea what it turned out to be. I was like, equality I believe in. And I was schooled very harshly by those very Democrats that lost all the men that no, it's not. It's about equity. And I was like, what the hell is this? And then I had to find out.
You were schooled? I thought you were too man for that. I thought you were too manly for that.
So all you have to do, but you don't even have to abandon that because a man will put up with all that nonsense talk. But you made it impossible for a man to earn a living and support a family. You made that impossible on purpose.
Support a family, translation, bribe a woman. Bribe a woman. That's what support a family means. And Metzger, why would a man need to support a family? Why wouldn't it be the wife's job? You're about equality, right? Right?
Purpose. And so it don't matter what podcast you have and any of that, because the thing that's screwing you.
It doesn't matter what podcast you have. It doesn't matter about your fame. Well, you don't know what you're talking about. It very much matters to women what podcast you have, whether it is successful or not.
You hear, you literally can't fix.
Right.
And I don't think Trump's going to fix it.
No, he won't. He won't. I think you're absolutely right about that. And that's the hugely important point. The masculine instinct is to provide, right? That's
To serve. That's what the masculine instinct is. It's not just an instinct, it's demonstrated. You guys see a woman you're interested in, you have to be the one to start it off, and you have to offer a bribe. How would you like me to buy a drink for you? Or pay for dinner?
the masculine instinct. And when you make it impossible,
that's not an instinct, that is learned behavior. Because when you first hit puberty, the first thing you do is decide to be yourself and be forward and be honest and come up to the girl and show interest and say, I like you. And it doesn't work.
For people to provide, they turn to despair and they turn to cartoonish, over-the-top versions of providers, i.e.
Japanese body pillows.
Yeah, well, or Donald Trump. You could say Donald Trump is an example of that. Like,
how is Japanese body pillows an exaggeration of providing? What?
Sexually frustrated men are going to look to the cartoonish version of the sexually, confident man, like an Andrew Tate.
Metzger, you're so stupid. You think hormones is something we hear on Pornhub.
And the economically frustrated man is going to end up in the arms of the over-the-top, exaggerated cartoon version of the successful businessman, which if that's not Donald Trump, who is? And so
well, it's not exaggerated. You either are successful or you aren't. Donald Trump is a very rich man, and that's why he has a very beautiful trophy wife. So he's not exaggerated. You guys don't know what you're talking about.
I think that's a huge component of this, bigger than any other. And that is one that not only are the Democrats not equipped to solve, they are actively opposed to solving that problem. They want to do everything but solve that problem. They want a focus group how to talk to men.
I agree. They don't want to solve the problem. But you don't know what the problem is. The problem is, how do we fool men and believe them we're on their side while stabbing them in the back? You two have no idea that that's what their aim is. That's why they're trying to solve this.
Rhetorically speaking, the most masculine thing you can do is not give a shit how you sound. Just talk to people. Don't
Part
study.
of being a man is to provide for a family and let these dingbats say any nutty thing they want. Go ahead, honey. Say the silly thing about men you want. It's okay.
Right. Really? So just take it. I thought you were all about, hey, baby, you got to pay rent. So you're going to take abuse from the woman in your life. So you admit that you're a little servant boy and that you're beneath her. Say the most bigoted things about me and my gender. I can take it. Well, it's not that I can take it, but I'm going to take it. That's what Metzger is leaving out. He's just going to. He's a little pandering go boy. And this is what masculine men actually are. All men pander. There are no cucks. All men pander. This man wants a woman in his life, so he basically says, whatever abuse she's dishing out, I'm eating. And if you don't Metzger, you don't have the woman in your life. So this isn't a brag that you're giving. All you're saying is, everybody, I'm admitting I'm a little go boy to the opposite sex.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm a man, so I take it. That's my job. But they make...
I'm a man, I take it. That's my job. I got to make that the title of this video, dude. I'm a man. I'm going to take it. That's my job. So thank you for admitting to all of us what manhood actually is. I'm opting out.
Made it so now you can't provide for a family. Remember when
Now you can't bribe women. That's what all this means. Not having a job means you can't bribe a woman. It has nothing to do with family. The wife doesn't care about the children. The father doesn't care about the children. The man cares about having the woman in his life, and the woman, it cares about being in charge.
bronies was a thing when that came out?
Yeah.
And my girl pointed out to me, and I think she's right. These were people that were so far removed from human contact online. So the only feminine energy they're getting as a man is this brightly colored girly show.
No, dude, no. These guys would always be turned on by that. It's a fetish. It's no different from any other fetish. Like some guys have foot fetishes, right? It's a fetish. They get contact with women. They're just rejected.
Right.
So the only thing stimulating the part you need, if what you're into is women, the only thing coming at you is a girly show, and then they fixate on that because they're not going to meet a real girl. And that's how Andrew.
They meet girls all the time. It's just that they get rejected by them. They don't have enough wealth and fame. Metzger, you got to jump through hoops, even knowing who you are. You're a C-tier list. You're a C-tier celeb. So even you have to put in effort, jump through hoops. That's a fact.
Tater, how do you talk to girls? There's a whole generation of dudes that you shouldn't talk to girls. And by the way,
Really, there's a whole generation of men who should never approach women. Then who are you to tell them to get out of this so-called basement?
never did any hard hitting on girls like that. I was raised like real kind of Christian culty, so I would watch these like alpha guys be aggressive. Like, how do you do that? And then it's funny, as the years went on, the only way you could talk to women is how I do. Like,
Right.
No.
Gain status. Gain some fame and fortune. That's how you do it. Metzger, if you were a complete nobody, you'd be invisible to women. There's no how to talk to women. Have you gained enough to bribe them?
Pressure fails, because I just don't want to be humiliated by rejection that hard, you know?
Right, exactly. The arc of.
Oh, you don't. But you think all these guys who are so supposedly in their basements, they want rejection on a regular basis? They want their egos damaged to the point they're no longer sane? Why? You're all over the place, you genius.
History is long, but it bends toward modesty. And finally, you win.
MLK said that at an orgy.
Yeah. So here's David Hogg, in keeping with what we're talking about here, gets a huge reaction from Bill Maher after saying Democrats.
David Hogg, he looks real masculine, doesn't he? Does he look like the so-called alpha male? I bet he has a girlfriend, though.
Need to reconnect with young men who just want to get laid and have fun without walking on eggshells. That's right. Here he is.
Happened last election is younger men, they would rather vote for somebody who even if they don't completely agree with, they don't feel judged by, than somebody who they do agree with, that they feel like they have to walk on eggshells around constantly because they're going to be judged or ostracized or excommunicated. And what's interesting about this moment is it feels like the two parties in some senses have flipped, where, Republicans used to be the judgmental assholes in many ways. And since many Democrats, despite us, I would say for most of us coming from the right place of wanting to.
Well, both of them hate men. It's not really being judgmental. They're not judgmental to women. They like women. I hope you guys are listening. Hey, Metzger, I hope you're listening.
To do the right thing, we've created a culture where we say, well, if you say the wrong thing, you're excommunicated. And that's just not how human beings work. Nobody is.
If a man says the wrong thing. Remember, guys, this is all about them talking to men. This is not a female problem.
Perfect. But ultimately, what we have to do here is figure out how to bring people back in and work towards the bigger goal of advancing the future of this country and helping young people especially get by so that they're able to focus on their lives and, getting with a young woman or something like that instead of how are they going to pay their rent, for example, or how.
A man has to pay his rent before he can get with a young woman. Again, these guys get the cart before the horse. And he can't just pay his rent. He's got to pay his rent and have luxury items to attract her. So he can't just be getting by. He's got to be doing well. And well by the standards of other men.
Are they working their two jobs? Young people should be able to focus on what young people should be focused on, which is how to get laid and how to go and have fun.
Why are you using a gender neutral term, dude? Why are you saying people? When women want to get laid, they just get laid. It's the guys who want to get laid. So they throw this horse shit out, but realize there's no solutions offered. None.
That's right.
For president, ladies and gentlemen.
David Hogg,
Yeah.
everybody.
And that's why he'll be run out of that party. He'll be run out of the party for saying
Well,
that.
yeah, he is. That's our next segment. That's our next
Yeah.
segment. He
Oh,
is. But they should they should take his advice. They should take his advice. They should have Obama record some ads. I hear you guys like beer, guns, and pussy. And I'm here to endorse Pete Buttigieg for president because
I'm not going to bother with the last of this. These two are part of the problem. Weiss and Metzger. You're a couple of losers that women wouldn't even go near if you hadn't gained a bit of fame and fortune. So if you really wanted to be helpful, you'd be telling young guys, gain fame and fortune. And that's it. Why do you think so many guys become gangsters? Right? It's about gaining the wealth and the fame, of the reputation of a bad guy, right? I mean, but you guys never say that. This clown here never said anything like that. He said, guys should just get laid. Is this guy going to get any men laid? No, he isn't. Right? Are you guys going to get any guys laid? Right. You mentioned it, Metzger, at the beginning. The Democratic Party is hostile to men. So why don't you simply say that we have to be good to men now? And why can't you admit that you're one of them? They treat the American men like they're aliens, and you're saying they instead of you, us. This is the male psychology right in front of us. Everything wrong with the male psychology right here, guys. Weiss and Metzger, you two are losers. You're losers.